Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and honored speakers. Welcome to the 20th General Meeting of the International Parliamentarians Coalition for North Korean Refugees and Human Rights, held here in Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm Serin Jo. It's truly honored together with esteemed leaders from around the world for this important cause. For those who need interpretation, please ensure that you are wearing your receivers as we are providing simultaneous interpretation throughout today's program. To start our event, we will begin with opening remarks. Please welcome Mr. Kim Gi-hyun, co-chairperson of IPCNKR and member of the National Assembly of Korea, to give his opening remarks.
Selamat pagi. 오하요 고자이마스. Good morning. 안녕하십니까? 반갑습니다. 존경하는 내외 기빈 여러분, 안녕하십니까? 북한 자유이주민 인권을 위한 국제의원연맹 상임공동의장 대한민국 국회의원 김기현입니다. 오늘 인도네시아 자카르타에서 개최되는 제20차 북한 자유이주민 인권을 위한 국제의원연맹 IPCNKR 총회 여러분을 모시게 되어 큰 영광입니다. 아세안 지역에서 열리는 총회는 2009년 태국 총회 이후 15년 만이며 인도네시아에서 개최되는 첫 번째 총회입니다. 바쁘신 중에도 우리 연맹을 환대해 주신 인도네시아 당국을 비롯한 인도네시아 국민 여러분들께 감사 인사를 드립니다. 우리는 오늘 하나의 공통된 목적으로 모였습니다. 북한 주민과 탈북민들의 인권을 개선하고 그들의 인권을 보호하며 평화를 위한 국제 협력을 증진하는 것입니다. 올해는 우리 연맹에게 매우 의미가 있는 해입니다. 북한 인권을 위해 노력하는 의원들의 모임인 IPCNKR은 지난 20년 동안 북한 주민들의 권리와 존엄성을 지키는 동료들에게 든든한 플랫폼을 제공해 왔습니다. 20년의 여정이 쉽지만은 않았지만 평화를 위해 책임을 다하는 우리의 결의는 결코 흔들리지 않았습니다. 20년을 맞이한 IPCNKR은 오늘 과거를 돌아보고 현재를 직시하며 미래를 향한 새로운 비전을 공유하고자 합니다. 이번 총회의 주제인 과거, 현재, 그리고 미래, COI 10주년으로부터 북한 인권 보호에 나아갈 방향까지라는 주제는 역사로부터 배우면서 동시에 긍정적인 변화를 위한 길을 모색하려는 우리의 의지를 담고 있습니다. 우리는 UN 북한 인권조사위원회 COI의 획기적인 보고서 이후 이루어진 진전을 살펴보고 인권을 우선시하는 혁신적인 개발 협력 전략을 논의해야 할 것입니다. 다양한 국가의 의원들인 우리에게는 특별한 책임과 기회가 있습니다. 우리의 집단적인 목소리는 정책에 영향을 미치고 여론을 형성하며 국제적 연대를 촉진할 수 있습니다. 우리의 네트워크를 확장하고 협력을 강화함으로써 북한 주민들과 전 세계에 거주하는 탈북민들의 인권을 보장하는 효과적인 체제를 구축할 수 있을 것입니다. 오늘 우리의 논의가 북한 주민들의 삶에 실질적인 변화를 가져올 수 있는 구체적 조치로 이어지기를 희망합니다. 인권이 존중받고 보호받는 평화로운 한반도를 실현하고 평화의 에너지가 전 세계로 퍼져나가도록 여러분들의 통찰력, 경험, 그리고 귀중한 아이디어를 나누어 주실 것을 기대합니다. 참석해 주신 여러분들께 다시 한번 감사드리며 이것으로 IPCNKR 제20차 총회의 교회를 공식적으로 선언합니다. 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다. Thank you, Mr. Kim Gi-hyun. And next we have Mr. Hiroyuki Konishi, co-chairperson of IPCNKR and member of the House of Representatives of Japan's National Diet.
Hello everyone, I am Hiroyuki Konishi, a member of the House of Councillors of Japan. It is a great honor for me to be nominated by Masaharu Nakagawa, former Minister of Education, whom I deeply believe in and respect, to serve as a Japan representative and co-chair of the IPCNKR. I understand that the issue of North Korea has become the more important global issue as the situation in Ukraine. I'm looking forward to working together with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hiroyuki Konishi. We appreciate your words and commitment. Now, please welcome Mr. Nakagawa Masaharu, the founding chairperson of IPCNKR, to give his welcoming remarks.
I'm really pleased to attend the 20th IPCNKR held in Jakarta today like this. I'm truly honored and would like to express my deep gratitude to Chairman Honorable Kim Ji-hyun and the Korean parliamentary delegations. 20 years ago have passed since the establishment of the IPCNKR. I fondly recall the time of the establishment. That was a time when the South Korean colleagues gave me the momentum to realize how our cooperation is important to overcome the grievance of people of North Korea under the severe oppression and violation of human rights by Kim Jong-un. I would like to express my many words of gratitude and appreciation to the founder, former Congressman Hwang Woo-yeol, and the following leaders, Mr. Hong Il-pyo, Mr. Ha Tae-kyung. North Korea's human rights violations will be recorded as a major stain on the history of mankind. Even now, the tragic situation continues to produce various tragedies in even more severe forms. Furthermore, Kim Jong-un, who seems to be in a cornered situation, has not only developed and threatened nuclear weapons and missiles, but has also decided to send troops to the Ukrainian front under a military alliance with Russia. This will be also lead to result in the fundamental destruction of stability and peace in East Asia. We, the surrounding countries, are required to respond appropriately, especially in cooperation with and under the leadership of South Korea. Kim Jong-un's number one goal is to maintain his regime and survive. As a result, the people of North Korea are being deprived of their human rights and being severely oppressed. Furthermore, he is intentionally creating enemies outside and demonstrating military threats in an attempt to achieve domestic unity. I believe that the purpose of our 20 years of activities through IPCNKR is twofold. The first is to encourage the international community to further understand how Kim Jong-un's ambition to maintain his regime has caused the people of North Korea to suffer and result in unforgivable human rights violations. The second purpose is to continue to explore the means how we can work together with the people of North Korea, encouraging them to protest against Kim regime. We should help them awaken to protect their own human rights and free themselves from the curse of Kim Jong-un. I sincerely hope that IPCNKR's activities will continue to develop, involve many neighboring countries, and encourage the people of North Korea. It will be too late if North Korea starts to engage in actual military conflict with neighboring countries. I firmly believe that the most effective way to truly contain Kim Jong-un's rampage is for the people of North Korea to awaken to their own rights and start fighting against Kim regime. For this reason, I would like to wholeheartedly support the activities of IPCNKR. My Japanese colleagues are also giving strong message that is, we are and we will be always with you, members of IPCNKR. Well, that concludes my remarks. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nakagawa Masaharu, for your continued leadership and dedication. And now we also have Mr. Hwang Woo-yeol, another founding chairperson of IPCNKR, to share his welcoming remarks.
존경하는 이거 통역이 되죠?
네, 네.
존경하는 IPCNKR 회원이신 의원님들, 특별히 에비하라 대표님을 비롯한 참가자 여러분, 반갑고 진심으로 감사합니다. 오늘 열리는 자카르타 총회는 IPCNKR 역사상 중요한 의미가 있는 회의가 아닐 수 없습니다. 먼저 그동안 IPCNKR이 창립 시부터 공동회장으로 큰 공로가 있으신 나카가와 마사하루 회장님께서 정계를 은퇴하심으로써 오늘 고니치 의원님께 바톤을 넘겨주시는 날입니다. 나카가와 마사하루 의원님은 그동안의 노고가 이루 말할 수 없이 표현할 길이 없는 큰 공로가 있으신 분이고 오늘은 그에 대한 기념식을 갖는 회의이기도 합니다. 나카가와 회장님은 제가 2001년 인천공항에서 막 일본으로 떠나시는 때에 환송을 하면서 우리 탈북 동포들에 대한 어려움을 호소하고 국제의원연맹의 결성이 필요하다고 말씀드렸을 때에 흔쾌히 뜻을 합하여 바로 IPCNKR을 출범할 수 있도록 해주신 어른이십니다. 그 후에 미국의 에드로이스 의원님과 몽골의 군달라이 의원님도 뜻을 같이 하셔서 이 네 분이 파운더로서 시작된 회의가 IPCNKR입니다. 이제 이 네 분은 모두 정계를 은퇴하시는 상황입니다. 그리고 2003년 제1회 총회를 한국에서 개최하였을 때에 이 총회에서 각 회원국들은 국회에서 북한인권법을 제정하자고 선언을 했습니다. 그래서 우리 일본, 미국, 카나다, 한국 이렇게 차례대로 북한인권법을 제정하기도 하였습니다. 그 후에 나카가와 회장님께서는 총회 논의 사항으로 납북자 문제를 포함하자 하셔서 납북자 문제를 갖고 있는 12개 나라들에 대해서 남북자 관련 국가들 회원국으로 모시게 되는 확장을 하게 되었습니다. 회장님께서는 IPCNKR 활동에 액션 프로그램이 필요하다고 제안하셔서 손수 태국의 탈북자 탈북 루트를 직접 찾아가셔서 점검하셨습니다. 그리고 연이어 오늘 참석하신 에비아라 교수님을 비롯한 태국의 지도자들을 설득하여서 태국 당국이 그동안 탈북자들을 이제 구금하고 또 벌금형을 이렇게 물게 하고 하던 것을 개선하여 이분들은 불법 입국자가 아니라 태국을 통하여 한국으로 가는 통과하는 통과 여객으로 규정하고 더 이상은 처벌하지 않도록 하는 큰 성과도 나카가 의원님과 함께 IPCNKR이 해냈습니다. 우리 오늘 나카가와 마사하루 의원님께 큰 박수로 감사를 표했으면 합니다. 일본의 최대 현안은 납북자에 조속한 귀환인데 이는 우리 한국을 비롯하여 여러 나라들의 공통의 문제입니다. 이 문제가 조속히 해결하도록 우리는 조금도 긴장을 늦추면 안 되겠습니다. 또 아울러 탈북자 문제는 난민 문제와도 결부되어 있기 때문에 IPCNKR은 이 난민 문제도 이제 다루게 되어서 우리 한국을 비롯하여 난민법의 새로운 입법이 진행되고 있습니다. 존경하는 나카가와 마사하루 의원님의 이러한 역사의 빛날, 인권사의 빛날 위대한 업적을 우리는 계속해서 이어받고 확장해 나가야 하겠습니다. 우리의 갈 길은 아직도 멉니다. 인도네시아에서는 매년 10만 명씩 일본에 그리고 1만 명씩 한국의 근로자들을 파송하고 있는데 우리 회원국들은 이러한 외국인 근로자들의 인권 문제를 항상 보살피고 이 문제도 우리가 소홀히 하면 안 되겠습니다. 앞으로 인도네시아에도 이러한 문제를 포함하여 IPCNKR에 적극적으로 참여하시고 또 좋은 의견을 내주셨으면 합니다. 우리는 이번 총회에서 새로운 지도자를 세우는 기쁨을 누리고 있습니다. 한국의 새로운 회장이 되신 김기현 상임공동 대표님은 이미 5선의 중진위원이시고 여당인 정당의 원내대표와 당대표를 성공적으로 이끄신 한국의 강력한 리더이십니다. 이분이 회장으로 취임하시는 의미는 우리의 생각을 뛰어넘는 중요하고 웅대한 의미를 갖고 있습니다. IPCNKR의 재정 확보를 비롯하여 회원국의 결속 강화, 실질적인 활동과 여러 가지 성과가 모두 이분의 어깨에 달려 있습니다. 오늘 우리 김기현 회장님을 강력히 지지해 온 저로서는 한마디로 IPCNKR의 새로운 시대를 열어주실 것을 확신합니다. 이번 자카르타 총회의 성공적인 마무리와 함께 명확한 미래성을 우리가 가슴에 담고 각국으로 돌아가야 하겠습니다. 인권은 국가의 모든 가치를 뛰어넘는 세계 공통의 인간으로서의 인류의 공통의 가치요 목표입니다. 이 문제를 깊이 다루고 늘 마음속에 지니는 것은 입법자인 우리 의원들의 가장 기본적인 의무요 사명이라 하겠습니다. 다시 한번 나카가 회장님, 김기현 회장 그리고 비롯 이곳에 참여하신 여러 우리 의원님들과 관계자 여러분들께 심심한 감사의 말씀을 드리고 모든 회원국의 인권 상황이 하나님의 은총 아래서 더욱더 올바로 방향을 잡기를 기원합니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you, Mr. Hwang Woo-yeol, for your inspiring words. We will now proceed to the congratulatory remarks. Please welcome Mr. Park Soo-dok, Charge d'Affaires of the Embassy of the Republic of Korea, for his congratulatory remarks.
The Honorable Chairperson IPCNKR, Mr. Kim Gi-hyun, the Honorable former Chairperson Mr. Nakagawa Masaharu, the Honorable Honorary Chairperson Mr. Hwang Woo-yeol, the Honorable Member Mr. Park Sung-min, the Honorable Member Mr. Chon Ha-ram, thank you for organizing this valuable meeting in Indonesia. Saya ingin mengucapkan juga kepada Bapak Profesor Subejo telah menghadiri acara ini. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to extend my warmest welcome and congratulations to the International Parliamentarians Coalition for North Korean Refugees and Human Rights for hosting the 20th General Meeting for the first time in Indonesia. Taking this opportunity, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to all members of the IPCNKR for their unwavering support for promoting international exchanges and cooperations for the human rights of North Korean refugees and global peace. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Ministry of Unification of the Republic of Korea, as of June 2024, more than 34,000 North Korean defectors entered South Korea. We have great challenges to improve inter-Korean relations, but above all, I believe that all of humanity has an obligation to protect the lives and human rights of each North Korean refugee. In this context, it is meaningful to hold today's meeting in Indonesia. It is noteworthy that Indonesia has a long tradition of pursuing free and active foreign policy and non-alignment. Indonesia has been one of the closest partners for Korea. Indonesia is the only one country among ASEAN members that has special strategic partnership with Korea. Our two countries have celebrated the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations last year. And this year, as we enter the first year of the next 50 years friendship, President Prabowo Subianto of Indonesia has committed with the Korean Prime Minister to strengthening our bilateral relations at the private meeting which took place on the occasion of the inauguration ceremony on October 20. In his inaugural speech, President Prabowo had emphasized the importance of good neighbor policy, referring to the phrase, "1,000 friends are too few, and one enemy is too many." Consistent with this principle, Indonesia is one of the countries that keep sound relationship with North Korea. At the same time, Indonesia has been a steadfast supporter of peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. Indonesia has made commendable efforts to play a constructive role between South and North Korea, as well as protecting the human rights. I hope today's meeting will offer us a valuable opportunity to promote international exchange and cooperation for human rights of North Korean refugees. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Park, for your words. Originally, Dr. Harniati was scheduled to give a congratulatory address today, but due to unforeseen circumstances, we will proceed to the next part of the program. Thank you for your understanding. And now we will take a moment for a group photo. We would like to invite our distinguished VIPs and speakers to come forward. Please come forward, all the VIPs and speakers to the stage for the group photo session. Okay, please take a position. Please come up to the stage. Thank you. Yes, all right. Okay. Okay. 네. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Thank you. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Thank you. Photographer, enough? One more time. Yeah. The iconic pose, yeah. Hand on hand pose, okay. Okay. One different pose. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Please take your seats again. Thank you. Please take your seats again. And with that, we conclude our opening ceremony. Now it's time to begin our first session. For those joining us with interpretation, please confirm that your receivers are set up correctly. I would like to invite Mr. Nakagawa Masaharu to the stage for the moderator for session 1 to lead the session. Please welcome Mr. Nakagawa to the stage.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I would like to start session 1. It's about the. Okay, I'm the key. I'm supposed to be the key.
Yeah.
Okay, speech. Okay.
Okay, for the first session, we'll begin with a keynote speech by Mr. Nakagawa Masaharu, the founding chairperson of the IPCNKR.
Okay, I come back again, and I would like to make a speech, the keynote. From the Japanese point of view, I would like to explain in the background of some of the human rights issues in here. Well, since its establishment, IPCNKR has consistently condemned the deprived human rights violations committed by the Kim regime in North Korea, and has called for the international community to work together to provide relief to those who have been victimized. 10 years ago, the UN Commission of Inquiry also reported the horrific finding of the unparalleled violation of human rights to the UN Security Council. About 15 years ago, I myself visited Yanbian and Dalian in China, on the border between North Korea and China, with the help of South Korean human rights organization. I had a chance to investigate the situation of North Korean defectors. At that time, more than 300,000 defectors were said to escape to China and settled as legal refugees. If they were founded by the Chinese authorities, they were destined to be repatriated to North Korea. It was reported that many people in North Korea, after repatriation, were forced to live in concentration camps, where they often lost their lives under the forced labor and torture. Meanwhile, I learned that there were also existed such tragic cases as slave-like forced labor, human trafficking by forced marriages. I once visited China to make an appeal by the name of IPCNKR. They should rather protect the refugees in China than repatriate refugees to North Korea. In the case of Japanese defectors, I also have to mention some background of their history. There were once a misled movement for Japanese Koreans to return to North Korea around in 1960s. Japanese Red Cross carried the movement, being associated with the government and the General Association of Korean Residents. The slogan at the time was, "Let's go back to North Korea, the paradise on earth." About 90,000 Koreans in Japan and 6,000 Japanese wives went to North Korea at that time. It is said that when these people stopped receiving remittances from their relatives in Japan, they faced discriminations in surrounding communities and were forced to move to poor regions by the governing body, leading to poverty and suffering in North Korea. Their children and grandchildren defected to Japan at that time. We feel responsible for this misleading of our government at that time. It is also my concern that our government should be open to accept the people who want to come back to their mother country, Japan, again. Japan also has put a special focus on abduction issues being committed by North Korea. The government of Japan has identified 17 Japanese citizens as victims of abduction by North Korea. Moreover, there is a list of over 470 missing people, possibly abducted by the North. 5 of them so far came back to Japan in October 2002, and the North admitted that they have actually committed those vicious crimes of abduction. Nonetheless, it is our most regrettable fact that any single abductee has not returned to Japan yet. We take this fact very seriously. The human rights violations in North Korea reported by COI were so much severe and said to be unparalleled in the world. Some of the reported factors are forced labor and torture in concentration camps in North Korea, and restrictions on freedom of expression and political and economic activities by the government's heavy-handedness. They must, of course, be strongly condemned in the international scenes. However, there are some other perspectives must be pointed out which require further cooperation from neighboring countries, and IPCNKR has been calling for this. We have been urging China to stop the forced repatriation of North Korean defectors and instead protect them as refugees. There is an abduction issue which spans several countries, including Thailand, Romania, to say nothing of Japan and South Korea. There are still unsolved issues such as prisoners of war, prisoners captured on fishing boats, and reunions of separated families. I think that the relevant countries should cooperate and negotiate with North Korea to provide relief to the victims of Kim Jong-un regime. The Kim Jong-un regime in North Korea is becoming increasingly radical. It is aiming to develop long-range missiles and equip itself with nuclear weapons. A military alliance has been forced with Russia, and North Korea has taken the step of sending military forces to Ukraine. However, depending on your perspective, this also be the result of the Kim Jong-un regime being cornered. When people are concerned, when people are cornered, they draw their swords and try to fight. The Japanese government recently said that the Prime Minister is ready to meet directly with Kim Jong-un unconditionally. I think this approach of unconditionality is somehow important and correct in coping with the present situation. It is difficult to imagine what kind of strategy President Trump and the United States will take this time for North Korean issue. However, if there should be some kind of opening to the negotiation, Kim Jong-un, who is cornered, may also go along with it. Before nuclear weapons and missiles, we need to put human rights issues on the table. Moreover, I believe that tackling North Korea not as an issue for our country, but through multilateral cooperation will be an effective opening for moving on to other negotiations of missiles and nuclears. Just as IPCNKR has been successful up until now, we need to find an opening to resolve North Korea's human rights issues through multilateral cooperation. I hope that this will continue to be vigorously pursued in the future, and that is where I conclude my speech. Thank you very much, and democracy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nakagawa, for your insightful speech. Next, we have a presentation by Mr. Tomoharu Ebihara. Tomoharu Ebihara, the director of the rescue group for victims kidnapped by North Korean people.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tomoharu Ebihara. Based in Chiang Mai, Thailand, I have been involved in North Korean human rights issue for about 19 years. focusing on resolving the issue of the abduction of Thai nationals by North Korea and the North Korean defectors relief. I commend that the COI framework established in 2013 for its groundbreaking research results from the perspective of the universal human rights, even though the period of activity was limited to 1 year. On the other hand, how will we have been able to convince individual countries concerned with North Korean human rights issues to agree with us on the resolving of the various human rights, various issues raised by the COI report. In particular, it is important to examine how we were able to move the countries closely related to North Korean human rights issue, such as Thailand, which is also a country affected by the abductions, by issuing the COI report. At the same time, it is an examination of the responsibility of the EU and Japan, which were co-sponsors of the COI, as well as the major proponents. This is because these countries are considered to be in a position to take a responsibility for a continued effort to ensure that the findings of the COI are truly effective. Today, I'd like to examine some of the responsibilities of the countries involved with a particular reference to the developments in Thailand. Thailand is one of the countries in the world most deeply involved with North Korean human rights issues. There are two reasons for this. The first is that Thailand has long been one of the world's largest destinations of North Korean defectors. At the end of the Kim Jong-il regime, approximately 2,000 North Korean defectors per year escaped to Thailand and left to the third country where they settled. The Thai government provided them with the protection and facility to leave the third country. Second, one Thai abductee by North Korea is known to exist, but has not returned to home to date. In other words, Thailand is one of the countries affected by the North Korean human rights violation. On the other hand, Thailand has long been in a state of internal political turmoil, leaving no room for political and social attention to be devoted to North Korean human rights issues. Since 2005, when the existence of the Thai abductee was discovered, Thailand has experienced two military coups in 2006 and in 2014, when the final COI report was submitted. Since the 2014 coup, the country has had 5 years of military rule that suspended the constitution and the parliament. Numerous cases of human rights violation occurred, and Thailand itself came under international criticism. The general election in 2019 ostensibly democratized the situation and moved it into direction of betterment. But the military-affiliated parties continued to hold the power. A general election was held again in May of last year, and the return to the democratic system was more progressive. However, the government, a grand collision of the pro-democracy and former military parties, has not been stable. Indeed, Prime Minister Setter of Pheu Thai Party stepped down in this August after only 1 year in office. Since September of this year, the government has been led by 38 years old Prime Minister Paetong Tam, daughter of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra from the same party. Thailand is just gradually returning to the democratic system over time, from the 2014 coup to the general elections. It may be pointed out here that the range of foreign policy action available to the military government and the government succeeding the military government has been limited. However, Thailand's foreign policy actions are likely to expand on the North Korean human rights issue once its internal political and politics are stabilized under democratic regime. In 2005, the existence of the one Thai abductee was discovered. The Thai government immediately began negotiating to the solution with North Korea at the foreign minister level, proposing the establishment of the joint Thai-North Korean investigation committee, but negotiation has made no progress. The Thai military junta leadership of the 2014 coup and its successor junta following the 2019 general election, while focusing on the seizing control of domestic affairs, did not want to face the issue of the abduction of Thai nationals by North Korea. I and the family of the Thai abductee have requested 3 meetings with the Prime Minister and 3 meetings with the Foreign Minister since the 2019 general election, but none of the meetings have taken place. However, I'm very eager to somehow improve the situation. As noted above, the fact that Thailand is restoring its democratic policy system broadened the range of political choices that Thailand can take on the issue of the abduction of Thai nationals by North Korea. Furthermore, it has been engaging with the Thai government and the parliament since in August of last year to advocate for the initiative. To date, I have not received a favorable response from the current Thai government or parliament. There have been discernible changes from the previous military administrations. On the other hand, Thailand has elected as the UN Human Rights Council member this past October and will serve on the council member for 3 years beginning in 2025. If Thailand is committed to the improving of the human rights situation around the world, it should be more proactive and resolve the human rights violation against its own citizens. It will be beneficial for the Thai government to address the issue of abduction of Thai nationals by North Korea as it has done in the past. Back to the COI report. I would like to point it out that I wonder whether there has been sufficient outreach to the countries, such as Thailand, which are victims of human rights abuses by North Korea, to encourage them to take some steps to resolve the various issues recommended by the COI report. The responsibility of the EU and Japan, who jointly proposed to establish the COI, and the countries that focus on this issue does not end simply with the establishment of the COI and the support for the investigation. It's our responsibility to raise awareness of the recommendation made in the COI report and to seek cooperation from the countries concerned, especially from the countries such as Thailand that has been victim of human rights abuses by North Korea, to bring them closer to actual solutions. However, it should be strongly pointed out that this responsibility has not been adequately fulfilled for Thailand, for example. It is true because Thailand's particular internal political turmoil, including the coups, has severely weakened the Thai government's ability to be a part to it. Importantly, however, Thailand's political system is in the process of gradual stabilization and gradual restoration of democratic government. So, while countries just wait for Thailand to declare itself willing to exert its influence to improve the North Korean human rights situation once it regains political and social stability, rather, continued efforts should be taken to engage the Thai government to improve the North Korean human rights issue in line with Thailand's return to democracy. The way to do this should not be limited merely to the diplomatic channels, but should be done carefully to all relevant parties within the Thai government. To cite one unfortunate example, the Thai National Human Rights Council, an independent agency of Thai government, has appointed new commissioners in 2021. As a result of my petition, the issue of North Korean abduction of Thai nationals has become the formal issue for the Council's consideration. However, none of the current human rights commissioners are fully aware of the COI report. This is because there's no adequate explanation or outreach to them. Currently, I am maybe sole provider of the problem knowledge to them. Is this situation desirable? Another point should be pointed out is Thailand is a country that is demanding the return of the Thai abductee to North Korea, even if it is low-key. Other than Japan and South Korea, Thailand is only other country that is currently negotiating with North Korea to resolve the abduction issue. Therefore, the approach to Thai government on the issue of North Korean human rights should include the viewpoint of how it can push for the solution of the abduction of Thai nationals. In this regard, the governments of Japan and South Korea, which are negotiating with North Korea to resolve the abduction issue, have a major role to play. Regarding the Thai case, I'd like to reiterate the need for more in-depth effort by the international community to penetrate the issue of North Korean human rights problems to the countries concerned to ensure that the COR recommendation 10 years after the issuance never fade away and they become effective. Concerning South Korea in particular, the 5 years of the Moon Jae-in administration were extremely disappointing. I greatly welcome the dramatic change in policy toward North Korea in the current Yoon Suk-yeol administration and have high expectations for the future role of South Korean government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ebihara, for sharing your valuable insights. Thank you. Okay, we now move on to a discussion led by Mr. Park Sung-min, a member of the National Assembly of Korea.
네, 반갑습니다. 저는 대한민국 국회의원 박성민입니다. 유엔 북한인권조사위원회의 역할과 의미에 대해서 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 북한의 인권 문제는 한국전쟁 이후 현재까지 김정은 3대 세습 체제의 최대 아킬레스건이자 글로벌 아젠다가 되었습니다. 이에 북한의 인권 유린 문제를 해결해야 한다는 국제적 공감대가 형성되면서 2013년 3월 유엔에서 북한 인권 문제 규명을 위한 최초의 공식 기구인 북한인권조사위원회 COI가 출범했고, 이후 2014년에는 북한 인권 문제의 주요 쟁점과 권고사항을 체계적으로 기술한 첫 보고서가 발간되었습니다. COI 출범과 보고서 발간은 북한 인권 문제에 대한 4가지의 큰 의미가 있다고 할 것입니다. 첫 번째로는 북한의 인권 상황에만 집중한 최초의 독립기구인 국제기구인 COI 설립은 북한 인권 문제에 대한 국제사회의 인식을 제고하는 동시에 국내에서도 북한 인권 문제에 대한 구체적인 노력을 이끌어내었습니다. 둘째, COI 보고서는 신뢰성 있는 조사 방법을 바탕으로 북한 인권 상황을 포괄적으로 정리한 최초의 문서입니다. 셋째, COI 이전에는 무력 충돌이 수반한 인권 침해 사태에만 국제사회 차원의 조사위원회가 구성되었으나 무력 충돌과 관련이 없는 북한 인권 문제 조사를 위한 COI 설립은 국제 인권사적인 측면에서도 매우 큰 의미가 있습니다. 넷째, 인권 침해 가해자들이 형사 책임을 묻는 선례를 만들어 차후 북한에 대한 강력한 압박 수단으로 작용할 수도 있습니다. 다만 2014년 COI 보고서는 몇 가지의 한계점도 가지고 있습니다. COI 보고서는 당시 처음으로 수행된 북한 인권 조사이며 북한의 특수 상황으로 직접 북한 내부로 접근하지 못하고 탈북 피해자들의 정언이 중심이 되었다는 점과 인권 침해에서 특정 부분만 다뤄졌다는 점에서 한계를 가지고 있습니다. COI 보고서는 식량권, 정치범 수용소, 고문과 비인도적 대우, 임의 구금, 차별, 표현의 자유, 생명권, 이동의 자유, 외국인 납치 등의 강제 실종과 같이 9개 분야로 국한되어 있습니다. 식량권 침해와 같은 일상적 인권 침해는 부분적으로 다뤄지고 있고, 하나의 예로 정치범 수용소 수감자들이 노예화 및 강제 노동 같은 인권 침해는 다루지만 북한 일반 주민들이 그러한 유형의 인권 침해를 겪는지에 대한 언급은 없습니다. 국경을 넘어 이루어지는 북한의 인권 침해에 대해서는 외국인 납치 문제로만 한정해 다루고, 해외에 파견된 비인간적인 환경에서 일하는 북한 노동자들의 현실은 다루지 못하고 있는 것도 사실입니다. COI 보고서는 북한 인권이 주민들을 잔인하게 대한다고 하지만 이는 북한 정권의 만행에 유린당하는 일반 북한 주민들의 상황을 제대로 표현하기 턱없이 부족하여 이들은 한마디로 표현하면 노예 상태에 놓여 있습니다. 다만 당시 처음으로 북한이라는 폐쇄된 나라를 조사한 보고서라는 점을 생각한다면 다음 후속 보고서에서 이전 조사의 한계점을 충분히 보완할 수도 있을 것입니다. 2014년 COI 보고서 이후 10년간의 상황은 다음과 같습니다. COI 보고서가 국제인권사적으로 큰 의미는 있지만 이후에도 북한 정권이 인권을 유린하는 형태는 멈추고 있지 않습니다. 특히 서해 공무원 피살 사건은 서해 연평도 인근 해역에서 해양수산부 소속 공무원인 이대준 씨가 실종된 후 북한 황해남도 해안에서 북한군의 총격에 숨지고 불에 태워진 사건입니다. 그리고 오토 원비어 사건 또한 대학생이었던 오토 원비어가 북한에 17개월 동안이나 억류되어 있다가 송환된 직후 사망한 사건입니다. 당시 미국의 의료진들은 원비어가 북한에서 전기 충격, 치아 손상, 물고문 등으로 인해 식물인간 상태가 되었을 가능성이 매우 높다고 밝혔습니다. 원비어 부모는 워싱턴 법원에 11억 달러의 손해배상 소송을 제기해 5억 133만 달러 배상 판결을 받아냈고, 북한의 동결자금 2,379만 달러를 찾아내 일부를 환수하는 등 성과를 거두었습니다. 홍수 사태를 물어서 북한의 간부 20-30명이 처형되는 사례도 있습니다. 올해 8월 발생한 홍수 사태에 대해 책임을 물어서 북한의 간부 20-30명을 처형했다고 알려지고 있습니다. 수해 지역 간부들에게 수해를 막지 못한 책임을 물어 한꺼번에 총살했다고 알려지면서 북한 인권 상황이 임계치를 넘어섰다는 관측도 나오고 있습니다. 국제사회의 노력은 지속적이고도 다양하게 이루어지고 있습니다. 유엔은 1990년부터 꾸준히 북한 인권에 대한 문제를 제기해 왔으며 2005년 이후 인권이사회에서 현재까지 19년 연속 북한 인권 결의를 채택하고 있습니다. 미국과 북한은 북한 인권법을 제정해 북한 주민의 인권 신장을 위해 보호법을 제정하기도 하였습니다. 북한 인권을 다룬 영화나 다큐멘터리 제작이 증가되면서 국제사회 북한 인권 문제에 대해 꾸준히 논의 제기를 하고 있으며, 온라인 콘텐츠를 제공하는 미국의 한 업체는 올해부터 북한 정치범 수용소를 다룬 애니메이션 영화 트루 노스를 전 세계 초, 중, 고와 대학, 도서관 등 광범위한 교육기관에 교육 콘텐츠로 제공하기 시작했습니다. 이 업체는 북한 내 수용소의 참혹한 실태를 더 많이 알리고 창의적 해결 방안들이 나오길 기대한다고 제공 목적을 밝히고 있습니다. 대한민국 정부도 보다 많은 노력을 기울이고 있습니다. 우리 정부는 인류 보편적 가치 실현의 문제이자 자유민주적 기본 질서에 입각한 평화적 통일이라는 헌법적 가치 구현을 위한 차원에서 북한 인권 문제를 바라보고 있습니다. 정부는 북한 인권법을 기반으로 2017년부터 북한 인권 보고서 발간, 2023년 북한 인권 정진 종합계획 수립, 2026년 완공 목표인 국립 북한 인권센터 건립을 추진해 북한 주민의 인권 의식을 높이고 북한 당국의 인권 친화 정책 견인을 목표로 정책을 추진하고 있습니다. 북한의 인권 문제의 심각성에 대해 공감대 형성과 확산을 위해 국내 민간단체와 꾸준히 협력하고 있으며 국제사회와의 협력도 이어가고 있습니다. COI의 후속 보고서에 대한 발간 요구는 더 커지고 있습니다. 지난 2023년 12월 제78차 유엔 총회에서 회원국 전원 동의로 북한 인권 결의가 또다시 채택되었습니다. 이번 결의안 역시 북한의 열악한 인권 상황에 대한 우려들을 확인하고 광범위한 인권 침해에 대해 규탄하고 있습니다. 특히 이 결의안은 북한 인권 참상을 국제사회에 알린 기념비적인 2014년 COI 보고서 이후 북한 인권 상황을 업데이트한 후속 보고서 발간을 요청하고 있습니다. 국제인권 전문가들은 2014년 COI 보고서 발간 후 지난 10년간 북한 인권 상황을 평가하고 앞으로 작성될 후속 보고서에서 납북자, 억류자, 국군 포로를 주요 의제로 다루는 방안을 논의할 예정입니다. 2차 COI 보고서에 대한 조언입니다. 2014년 COI 보고서 이후 10년간 더 심각해진 북한 인권 문제를 해결하기 위해 COI 후속 보고서의 역할은 10년 전보다 더 중요한 것이라고 여겨집니다. 먼저 10년 전 9개로 한정되어 있던 분야에 대해 좀 더 포괄적이고 종합적인 접근이 필요할 거라고 예상됩니다. 탈북한 북한 주민을 포함한 현지 북한 주민에 대한 정언과 실태 조사도 가능한 방법이 마련되어야 할 것입니다. 본 보고서가 북한 사회의 인권 문제에만 국한하지 않고 전 세계 국제사회의 인권에 대한 경종을 울릴 수 있는 중요한 역할을 담당하고 있다는 사실을 인식하고 기존보다 좀 더 철저하고 분석적인 보고서가 나와야 할 것입니다. 마무리 말씀을 드립니다. 북한의 인권 침해 문제는 단순히 한반도에만 국한된 문제가 아니라 전 세계 인류의 보편적 인권 수호와 본질적으로 연결되어 있다는 사실에 모두 동의하고 있습니다. 고립된 사회적 환경과 체제의 특수성을 핑계로 들기에는 시간이 너무 많이 지났으며 이제 보다 실질적이고 종합적인 대책이 마련되어야 할 시점입니다. 북한 인권 문제 해결을 위해 현 대한민국 정부를 포함한 대한민국의 모든 역대 정부들은 많은 노력을 기울여 왔고 저 또한 대한민국 국회의원으로서 이 문제에 꾸준히 관심을 가지고 보다 적극적으로 해결 방안을 마련하는 데 최선을 다할 것입니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Mr. Park. Now we will wrap up this session with a brief Q&A. If there are further questions, feel free to raise your hands and give your questions. And this Q&A session also led by Mr. Nakagawa, please.
Well, thank you very much for each presentation that we think about it and how to cope with North Korea. Well, wrapping up the things, the Japan tends to be just focused upon abduction issue itself. But as a matter of fact, this is not only the abduction. I'm trying to convince the Japanese government that it's not the only abduction, but rather human rights as a whole, which was violated by North Korea. And like a COI pointed out, the whole, the people of the world, it means that the countries surrounding the North Korea have to join this humanitarian movement towards or against the Kim Jong-un's regime. That's the one point that we are going to seek for in the future, and also try to find out some method or some means to directly talk with North Korea. We have to bring him upon the negotiator table and that this matter. And well, the world, especially the United States, or trying to talk only about missiles and nuclear weapons theme. But actually, the human rights issues is to be the sort of a key issue which this Kim Jong-un will come to the table of the negotiation. We should utilize these human rights issues also for the negotiations. They're not only bilateral, but rather multilateral table should be prepared for the next stage. That's the sort of a wrap up of the first theme of this discussion. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. You can ask any questions to our speakers of first session. Any questions? Okay, if there are no further questions, we will proceed to the coffee break. Thank you once again to Mr. Nakagawa and to all those speakers and participants in session 1 for your valuable insights and contributions. Your dedication to this cause is truly inspiring, and let's take a short coffee break, and we'll resume shortly with our second session. And we'll resume our second session at 11:30. We'll have a 10 minutes break. Enjoy the coffee break. See you again. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a refreshing break. And we are pleased to announce that Dr. Harniati has arrived and will now deliver a congratulatory address. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Harniati.
Thank you very much for the time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good evening, distinguished guests, esteemed college and honor participant. May I say Bapak Kim Gi-yeon, Co-Chairperson of IPCNKR, Bapak Nagawa Masaharu, Founding Chairperson of IPCNKR, Bapak Hwang Hu Ye, Bapak Park So Deok, Bapak Park Sung Win, Bapak Chun Ha Ram. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for invitation for us. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Harniati. On behalf of my Minister of Human Rights, we say thank you for the invitation and for meeting with you all, distinguished guests, for this today meeting. Thank you for gathering here today as we address of the most fundamental and powerful topics of our time, human rights. It is both a privilege and responsibility for us to come together under the theme, the past, present, and future of human rights, to reaffirm our commitment and explore new paths to justice, equality, and dignity for all. As we look back, the history of human rights reminds us of the hard-fought struggles and sacrifices that have shaped our modern societies, from the global movement that abolished slavery to those that championed equality for all. Today, we stand on the shoulders of those who have tirelessly advocated for a world where every human being is granted for fundamental rights. Yet, our work is far from over. Across the globe, people continue to suffer violation of their rights. In some parts of the world, report details the alarming treatment of citizens. In various parts of the world, women are denied equal opportunities, and refugees crisis continue to unfold on unprecedented scale, displacing millions from their homes. These are not issues isolated to distant lands. They remind us that the needs to protect and promote human rights know no borders. Ladies and gentlemen, in Indonesia, we have made progress, but we recognize that there is always more to be done. As we focus on the present, allow me to share the key effort of the Indonesian Ministry of Human Rights to currently undertaking to uphold and strengthening the human rights of our people. First is strengthening the legal framework. To ensure that human rights are protected, we are actively strengthening the legal framework that serves as a fundamental for justice and equality. Our goal is to provide comprehensive protection that extends to every citizen and to create a legal system where justice is accessible and transparent. Second, protecting groups in vulnerable situations. In Indonesia, we recognize the critical needs to address the rights of vulnerable population, including women, children, persons with disabilities, and other communities. Women's rights are one of the National Action Plan on Human Rights agenda, with efforts focused on combating violence against women, promoting gender equality in education and employment, and increasing women representation in leadership roles. Similarly, we are committed to protecting children from exploitation, providing safe and supporting environment for their growth and development. We are also mindful of the growing numbers of irregular migrant and asylum seekers in our region, striving to provide human and dignified treatment in line with international standards based on humanitarian assistance. Third, promoting human rights education and awareness. Awareness and education are crucial to fostering a culture of human rights. The Ministry of Human Rights has launched several nationwide campaigns and programs aimed at educating the public on the rights and responsibilities. We are working with the schools, universities, and community organizations to integrate human rights education into our national curriculum, encouraging future generations to advocate for fairness and justice. Next is collaborating with the international partner. Human rights are universal concern, and we recognize that the importance of collaborating with the international organization and neighboring countries. Indonesia remains committed to working with the United Nations, ASEAN, and other bodies to address human rights issues that transcend our borders. These partnerships allow us to exchange best practice, enhance our strategies, and stand in solidarity with global efforts to create a just world for all. As we consider the future of human rights, our vision is clear: a world where human rights are not just aspirations, but realities for everyone, to create Golden Indonesia 2045. This is not a small task, and it will require the full commitment of our government, our citizens, and our international partners. But I believe that by continuing to innovate, collaborate, and hold ourselves accountable, we can transport this vision into a reality. In closing, let me express my deep appreciation to all of you who are dedicated to this cause. Let us remember that the work we do today is a legacy we leave for future generations. Together, we can forge a future where the rights, dignity, and freedom of every individual are protected and cherished. Thank you very much, and our effort today serve as a beacon of hope and justice for all. Nathalie Guswige, Minister of Human Rights of the Republic of Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harniati. Baik, terima kasih. Now let's move into session 2. A reminder for those using simultaneous interpretation service, please ensure your receivers are ready so you can follow along seamlessly. Please set the channel to number 2 now. And I would like to hand things over to Professor Dr. Subejo, who will be moderating this session. Professor Subejo, the stage is yours.
The Honorable Committee and participant of the 20th General Meeting of IPCNKR. In the second session, we will have very tough times. Actually, the time allocation is 60 minutes, but we would have hopefully enough for 60 minutes. And then for the second session, the topic is about the direction of North Korea development cooperation, protection of human rights in North Korea. And we have 2 presentations and then 2 discussions. 2 presentations from Chu Chong-hui and then Kwon Eun-kyung, and then from the discussion from Jerome Savage that hopefully will be delivered online, and then second discussion from Chung Harams. And hopefully we still have time for the discussion from the all participants. Yes, as reported by many reports in the international, actually the problem of situation in North Korea is very serious. Just this morning I read a report that World Food Program reporting that from 25 million people in North Korea, the number of 10 million people undernourished. So this, I think, big problems. And then 18% of children also in stunting. So I think this is the current problems in North Korea, and for the refugee, I think also might be facing more serious problems in many aspects of human rights, including food, including also shelter, and so on. So this time of session, we will discuss sharing ideas, sharing experience from our distinguished speaker and presentation. And then for first chance, Chu Chong Hui, the director of Good Farmers from NK Public of previous farmers NK Public Officer. The time is 10 minutes, hopefully enough. So time is yours.
네, 안녕하십니까. 사단법인 급한모수연구소 소장 조충희입니다. 이야기하기 전에 이제 제 소개를 간단히 드리면요. 저는 2011년까지 이제 북한의 평안남도에서 살다가 대한민국에 입국을 했고요. 현재는 이제 대한민국에서 석사 박사 학위를 취득하고 개발협력 사업과 북한 인권운동을 같이 이제 하고 있습니다. 그래서 오늘 이 자리에서 제가 이야기할 주제가 개발협력과 북한 인권운동의 공존이라는 주제로 이야기를 하려고 합니다. 그래서 오늘 우리가 직면하고 있는 북한 인권 환경은 굉장히 이제 암울합니다. 그래서 북한 노동당과 김정은 지도부는 국민을 이제 국가의 주인이 아닌 체제 유지 수단으로 이용을 하고 있고, 한국의 경우에도 북한 인권 문제를 해결한다고 하면서도 진보와 보수의 이제 갈등으로 여러 가지 문제들이 아직 해결되지 않고 있는 이제 상황입니다. 정상적인 인권의 관점에서 볼 때 북한 사회의 인권 위협과 장애는 사실 곳곳에 만연해 있고, 북한 체제는 우리가 생각하는 것보다는 굉장히 더 위험한 상태라고 이제 볼 수가 있습니다. 지금 시점이 이제 북한 인권 운동, 북한 인권 문제 해결에 대한 방향 전환이 이제 필요한 시점이라고 이제 저는 생각을 하고 있는데요. 그렇다면 북한 주민들의 인권 문제를 해결하기 위해서 우리가 할 게 무엇이겠는가, 이런 질문을 해놓고 봤을 때 북한 인권운동의 대상으로서의 북한 주민이 북한 인권운동의 주체로 등장을 시켜야 된다는 겁니다. 그래서 그러니까 북한 주민이 자기의 인권을 해결하기 위해서 자기가 주인으로 나설 수 있게 해야 된다. 이렇게 이제 제가 이야기를 하고 싶고요. 사실 우리가 북한 주민들의 인권 문제가 해결만 되면 전쟁 위험도 사라지고요, 남북 공동의 경제 성장도 가능하고, 한반도는 물론 동북아 평화도 이제 같이 해결할 수 있습니다. 그러면 왜 이제 북한 인권 운동과 개발 협력을 이제 결합해야 되냐, 이렇게 이제 놓고 봤을 때 사실 이유는 차고 넘치는데요. 몇 가지로 이제 분류해서 이야기를 해보면, 첫째로 현 정권 피해 당사자인 북한 주민인 자신이 인권에 대해서 목소리를 내게 이제 만들 수 있게 하는 것이 진정한 인권 문제 해결의 시작이라고 저는 생각을 합니다. 그래서 두 번째는 다양한 이제 교류를 통해서 현 체제의 수혜자, 그러니까 북한 정권 체제의 수혜자를 배제하고 비수혜자들, 그러니까 북한 주민들, 또 인권 탄압을 받고 있는 북한 주민들을 사회 변화의 동력으로 이제 이끌어내는 게 개발 협력과 인권 운동을 같이 결합하는 과정에 이것이 가능하다고 이제 저는 생각을 합니다. 다음 세 번째로 북한 주민들의 식량 문제를 해결하는 과정을 통해서 주민들의 생존권을 보장하는 게 우선이라고 생각합니다. 제가 대한민국에 2011년에 들어와서 대한민국 사회 민주화 과정을 이제 보니까 경제 성장이 이루어지면서 민주화가 동시에 이루어졌더라고요. 그래서 경제적인 성장이 없이 사회 민주화 바란다는 건 좀 힘들다. 그러니까 배고픈 사람들이 조금 배불러야 딴 생각도 하고, 야, 내 인권이 이렇게 나쁜데 무엇이라도 해야 되겠구나, 이렇게 이제 생각할 수 있는 그 환경이 조성된다고 생각합니다. 그래서 이 방도 문제에 대해서 이야기를 할 건데요. 그 제일 중요한 것은 제가 그 전공이 축산 전문가거든요. 그래서 제가 이제 그 뭐 라오스나 캄보디아 이런 동남아와 아프리카 나라들에서 농업과 축산을 통한 개발 협력을 하면서 느낀 바가 있는데, 그 식량 문제 해결을 위한 농업과 축산 이런 이제 그 문제를 제안하고 접근하는 게 필요하다. 그러니까 실질적으로 부족한 문제에 대해 포커스를 맞추고 이것을 해결하는 데서 너희는 어떻게 하고 우리는 어떻게 해야 되는가. 우리가 이게 그 외부에서 만나가지고 서로 이야기하고 토론하고 이러는 과정을 통해서 북한의 해외에 나와 있는, 사실 북한의 뭐 전문가들이나 외교관들이나 이런 친구들이 다 엘리트들이거든요. 그러니까 야네의 생각을 바꿔주는 게 필요하다. 이제 저는 그렇게 생각을 하고요. 사실 그 이 방식은 제가 그 개발협력 사업을 하면서 실질적으로 해보고 또 지금도 진행하고 있는 방식인데, 그 좀 이제 안전상 이유로 구체적인 그 이야기는 하지 못하는 걸 이제 양해를 부탁드립니다. 그래서 사업 방식은 공식적인 접촉과 비공식적인 접촉을 하면서 보통은 이제 제가 개인적으로 생각하는 건 한국 사회에도 이제 여론조사하면 1000명을 모집단으로 이제 보거든요. 그래서 우리가 북한 주민 1000명만 우리 편으로 만들면 굉장히 큰 변화를 이끌어낼 수 있다는 겁니다. 그러니까 이런 것들이 실질적으로 가능하고 이것을 하는 사업에 우리가 투자를 해주고 힘을 보태줘야 된다. 이제 저는 그렇게 생각을 합니다. 그래서 실질적으로 이제 북한이 우리 그 한국이나 또 외국의 문을 열려고 하는 위기가 그 적은 환경에서 또 그러니까 해외나 또 북한이 좀 자연스럽게 들어올 수 있는 지역이나 국가들에서 이런 사업들을 진행을 한다면 조금 더 그냥 지금 완전히 단전될 상태에서 무엇을 할 것인가를 고민하는 것보다는 한 가지라도 작은 날개짓이라도 하는 과정들에 앞으로 우리가 이제 북한 인권 운동을 실질적으로 해결하는 방도를 만들어낼 수 있는 게 아닌가, 이제 그렇게 생각을 합니다. 그 사실 그 인권 단체들과 그다음에 그 북한을 이제 인도적으로 지원하기만 하는 이런 단체들 간에 서로 갈등도 있거든요. 그래서 이런 갈등들을 해결을 하면서 사실 그 북한의 전문가들과 또 이제 북한 관계자들 이런 사람들을 만나서 조용하게 이제 국제적인 흐름이라든지 전문적인 이야기라든지 이런 것들을 진행하는 게 굉장히 중요하다, 그렇게 생각을 합니다. 그래서 그 우리 뭐 한반도나 또 뭐 동아시아 국제사회에서 북한 인권 문제를 배제하고 안보나 평화를 이야기하는 건 사실상 어불성설이라고 생각을 하거든요. 그래서 북한 정부의 국민의 기본권인 식량권이라든지 경제권이라든지 이런 것들의 해결을 강하게 요구하면서 또 식량 문제 해결을 위한 개발 협력을 또 동시에 진행하는 것이 당근과 채찍을 이제 같이 이제 적용하는 바람직한 전략이라고 생각을 합니다. 오늘 이야기는 여기서 마치겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Mr. Cho Chung Hui, for the explaining about the current situation of North Korea and also the good idea for proposing new strategy in solving the problems. We will move to the second presenter, Kwon In Hyung, the Secretary General of the International Coalition to Stop Crimes. Time's also quite similar, 10 minutes from now. Please, time is yours.
morning. Thank you so much for having me in this significant event. I will begin my presentation by talking about the fourth cycle Universal Periodic Review on DPRK, which took place in Geneva on the 7th, based on the submissions of civil society reports and the national reports from the North Korean government. The UN Human Rights Council conducted the UPR on the human rights situation in the DPRK last week. The DPRK stance that I noticed during this UPR can be summarized in 3 points. First, they claim that hostile forces such as the United States, Japan, and South Korea are the biggest obstacle to the sovereignty and developmental interests of the DPRK, as well as the right of people to a peaceful life. Second, North Korean authorities expressed their willingness to actively engage in international cooperation for implementing the 2030 Agenda for SDGs and to fulfill their obligations under the Conventions on the Rights of Children, Women, and the People with Disabilities, which North Korea has ratified as a state party. Third, they emphasized their determination to establish the national system and pursue economic development in their own socialist way. While these 3 points align with the familiar traits of North Korean authorities, a closer examination reveals potential strategies for advancing human rights and development in North Korea. In this context, I will outline 3 key points to illustrate why it's essential for North Korean human rights, civil society, and relevant countries and stakeholders to recognize the importance of engaging in discussions on development cooperation. First, this is due to North Korean authorities' persistent blockade of South Korean influence and partial isolationist policies in the international diplomacy, which appear to trending towards long-term sustainability. The 3 laws recently enacted by North Korean authorities, the reactionary ideology and cultural rejection law enacted in 2020, the youth education guarantee law enacted in 2021, the Pyongyang cultural language protection law enacted last year, clearly illustrate the intent behind these blockade policies to sever all relations with South Korea and hostile forces. Under these laws, even the South Korean dialect, despite being a variation of the same Korean language, is prohibited, and the distribution of South Korean cultural content is punishable by death. Second, we need to understand the North Korean policies aimed at strengthening state management and control functions. Since 2019, approximately 50 new laws have been enacted. While some of these laws, as previously mentioned, contravene basic human rights standards, a few are more aligned with human rights principles, such as the law on prevention of beatings, the city and county development law, and the child care law. Notably, beginning this year, the North Korean authorities have launched the 20 by 10 local development plan, the nationwide initiative spearheaded by, of course, the Workers' Party. This plan seeks to build modernized local industrial factories in 20 counties annually over the next decade, with the objective of significantly enhancing the basic material and cultural living standards of the population. Additionally, the authorities are pursuing policies aimed at illegalizing and abolishing the corruptive and exploitative practices that have fully emerged since late 1990s. These measures include strict penalties for widespread bribery within administrative systems, school, workplaces, and other sectors of society, prohibition on private manufacture and sale of pharmaceuticals, and policies enforcing the regulation of medical practices to ensure that all treatments are conducted within hospital settings. While these measures may seem like a standard acts of governance and domestic fair policy, they have raised concerns within the international community due to the totalitarian and dictatorial nature of North Korean authorities, of course. Third, in this context, strategic measures are needed to raise the awareness of human rights among the North Korean population in line with international human rights norms. To enhance awareness among North Koreans, effective methods for disseminating information about the world supported by advanced technological assistance are essential. In open and legal sphere, strategies that broaden accessible channels for North Korean population should be considered to instill the values of international human rights standards. It is often said that there has been no change in North Korean human rights situation in the decade since the release of COI report, which are well known among us here, among our participants in this event. This perspective is understandable given the persistent totalitarian dictatorship of North Korean authorities under Kim Jong-un's regime. However, when comparing the lives of North Koreans in the decade following the arduous march in the late 1990s to the decade leading up to 2019, subtle, albeit superficial, changes in the human rights situation can be observed. For instance, discrimination based on social class, known as 성분, as well as gender discrimination and restriction on freedom of movement and residency have somewhat eased. It's important to note that these changes do not represent the fundamental solution, nor are they the result of human rights reform policies by North Korean authorities. Rather, these shifts are incidental outcomes of individual earning income or finding means to sustain themselves through gray or black markets. Simply put, when the children of farmers who were traditionally destined for assignments on collective farms manage to earn money, they can move to cities by bribing the police to obtain city residence permits and registering as urban workers. This allows them to experience limited freedom of movement and residence and to choose their occupations. This implies that young individuals with low social status could achieve significant financial success and live with fewer political and economic restrictions under the protection of prosecutors or security agents, even without gaining the party membership. In other words, market activities can contribute to alleviating discrimination based on North Korea's conventional social standards, including gender-based roles, and help the younger generation disengage from the ideological and political life. Although the improvements in human rights achieved through such means remain unstable, they have undeniably influenced social change. Such changes can foster an awareness of private property, and a desire for self-development, which are essential elements for informing the foundation of democracy. Building on Dr. Cho's strategy for joining agricultural and livestock ventures, you can find later on the books released by maybe Secretariat of IPCNKR. These projects could be leveraged not only for economic growth, but also to promote basic human rights by integrating sexual violation prevention education and safety training, which is mandatory in workplaces in most countries. This approach creates opportunities for Indonesia to engage by collaborating with North Korea to establish a counterpart to Indonesian National Commission on Violence Against Women, serving as a means to implement one of the Indonesian recommendations from the fourth UPR cycle on the DPRK, conducted last week. This could involve appointing a women's rights secretary within the Workers' Party of North Korea and creating a women's rights commission within North Korean cabinet for multinational diplomacy. And then we can meet with North Korean women leaders and also Indonesian women's rights experts. By expanding these strategies, we can create a ripple effect that supports North Korean in understanding and asserting their rights, leading to meaningful, gradual human rights progress. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kwon Eun-kyung, already given some prospective strategy for the future of development of North Korea. And then we will move forward to discussion. For the first discussion from Jerome Savage, former UN resident coordinators and UNDP representative in North Korea, will be delivered online. Jerome, you already with us? Time also 10 minutes from now. Please, time is yours.
Hello, do you hear me, Professor Subeja? Would somebody confirm that they hear me?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, now time is yours, 10 minutes. Okay.
Professor Subeja. Hello, Professor Subeja?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, we are hearing voice, please. Yeah.
Thank you. I was asked by the IPCNKR Secretariat to discuss the presentation by Professor Cho Chung-hui that we just heard. His presentation is supported by a very personal experience and the knowledge he has acquired in his studies and in his work. He says that the social subjects are leading the human rights movement, and they can be the North Korean citizens themselves. I agree with him because that change in North Korea will come from within, from the people. Therefore, international intervention should help the people to not just survive, but also be empowered to bring about the change. I acquired my experience by coordinating the delivery of humanitarian and development programs in North Korea until 2013, and I realized that the United Nations agencies on the ground could not simply ignore the human rights dimension. I will take some of the points of Dr. Cho, and I will describe how I worked across these seemingly opposed dimensions of international cooperation and human rights. Dr. Cho says that we must empower North Korean citizens. It is possible to bring out the non-beneficiaries as the driving force of social change. What this means to me concretely is the need to introduce technical cooperation for development over the simple distribution of humanitarian supplies. This transfer of knowledge should be directed as much as possible to the people of North Korea. That's why UN agencies try to have their project outside of Pyongyang and at the Ri level, where the population is less advantaged. Also, the UN World Health Organization, for example, ensures that training programs for female nurses will be provided to the nurses and not to the male doctors in the Ministry of Health. This is just one example. To address the humanitarian crisis faced by the people, Dr. Cho says it is important to expand the markets to reduce dependency on the ruling party. Agencies like UNDP have designed several projects to build actual physical markets in places in North Korea. We also delivered micro turbines, water turbines, wind turbines for the village households. These turbines are too small to feed the energy back to the grid, but they provide everyday energy for the people for cooking, heating, electric light, and for the people to become less dependent and more resilient. There are limitations to this objective. Sometimes I found that it was difficult to convince some of our donors to deliver this more development-oriented aid, because the donors feared that we were building the capacity of the state instead of helping the people. In this case I gave, the projects were small and could not really build the capacity of the state. Dr. Cho says that humanitarian organizations and human rights groups share common objectives. I fully agree. As the representative of the United Nations, I was aware that the UN was created to ensure that all types of rights should be addressed across all initiatives of the UN. I'm going to give you 3 examples in conclusion, how to leverage human rights conventions which the DPRK has signed. These were for me entry points to introduce human rights concept, but I will also highlight the limits of this approach. The Convention on the Rights of People with Disability, CRPD. Using this convention, the UN has inserted questions on disability into the last population census, which was financed by the Republic of Korea and Switzerland. For this, the UN put some pressure on members of the North Korean government, who, I must say, took some risks to convince other parts of the regime. As a result, the census openly admitted that there were people with disability in North Korea. And instead of hiding these people, we also organized a consultation on the benefit of CRPD with the National Korean Federation of People with Disability and with the well-known international NGO, Handicap International. We included disability component in the training of UN staff, including North Korean staff. We jointly developed a curriculum for health professionals working as community doctors, and we added protocol for health and rehabilitation for persons with disability. But let us remain realistic. The DPRK authorities did not allow the full mainstreaming of disability rights into the UN program. My second example is using the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW. We increased data transparency and data gender desegregation. UNICEF, UNFPA, and WHO leveraged women's reproductive rights and child and maternal health and advocacy for child rights for the establishment of a comprehensive monitoring system and education for all in DPRK. Here again, realism is needed. The progress was limited in that the program was more successful in addressing sexually transmitted diseases or cervical cancer control, rather than advocating for a broad choice of contraceptive methods or a higher quality counseling for contraception, or by showing how to support women's rights and full participation in the workforce. My last example is how, using the Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations, SDGs, the DPRK government issued its first SDG report in 2011, which made an effort to openly discuss inequalities in the country. This again took a lot of advocacy by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs officials towards other parts of the regime, the party, the military, etc., in order to release this report. The limitation this time came from UN agencies' headquarters, which were reluctant to accept the report due to the low quality of data and analysis compared with other countries. I must admit that today, the DPRK's last SDG, voluntary national report, still does not meet international standards. But I personally believe that multilateral agencies should take a risk accepting this report as a first step with a view to getting in the direction of improving the report. And finally, more optimistically, as an example of a first step, just before COVID closed the borders of North Korea to all international cooperation, the UN DPRK Strategic Framework 2017-2021 linked for the first time development, peace, justice, and good governance through the SDG 16. In conclusion, Dr. Cho advocates for cooperation between human rights groups and aid and development organizations to address North Koreans' human rights issues while adapting to the changing international environment. Although it is a difficult goal to achieve, I fully support Dr. Cho's conclusion because I believe that this policy objective is worthy and requires realism and small, consistent steps to contribute to advance traditional security interests on the Korean Peninsula. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jerome, for also explaining about the experience on UN intervention in North Korea. I think quite interesting and quite fruitful. And then we have the last discussion, Mr. Chun Harams, the member of National Assembly of Korea. The time also 10 minutes from now. Please, time is yours.
Selamat siang, nama saya Chun Haram. Nama saya Haram, tapi dalam bahasa Korea artinya bagus. So, yeah. I will make key points in English and then I will just follow up in Korean. What I want to talk about today is the access to the information, especially access to outside information for the North Korean people. There are about more than 10,000 North Korean soldiers dispatched to Russia these days for the Ukrainian war. There's some funny report saying that many of North Korean soldiers, they are now getting, for the first time, free access to internet, and they are addicted to pornography. Yeah, I mean, it's not confirmed, but there's some kind of report that they are having free internet and access to pornography and things like that. Of course, dispatching North Korean soldiers for Russia is a severe violation of everything, but I'm kind of curious what will happen to those soldiers who, get free access to internet and come back to North Korea, and what kind of impact that will have on North Korean society. And all in the midst of all of this, Trump is back. And like the first time, the first term, he will probably push for more of a top-down kind of response to Kim Jong-un and North Korea. So I think it's very important that, like many has mentioned before, we need to educate somewhat to President Trump about the importance of empowerment and the free access of information to North Korean public. And then, of course, we will try our very best to have a multinational effort for the freer flow of information in North Korea. And then I will continue in Korean. 네, 이게 이제 사실 아까 이제 뭐 많은 분들 언급해 주셨습니다만은 우리가 북한 문제 하면은 주로 이제 먹고 사는 문제, 또 죽고 사는 문제를 다루다 보니까 결국 이 정보에 대한 접근권에 대해서는 잘 다루지 못한 부분들이 있는 것 같습니다. 그런데 재미있는 것은 먹고 사는 문제는 북한의 아주 고위급들은 뭐 문제 없는 문제일지 모르겠지만 정보에 대한 접근권은 모든 북한 사람이 아마 김정은 위원장 정도를 제외한 거의 모든 사람이 겪고 있는 인권 침해가 아닐까 생각합니다. 우리 유엔의 자유권 규약 제19조에도 당연히 우리 정보 접근권을 우리 인류의 보편적인 인권으로 명시하고 있고요. 그런데 북한을 보면은 거의 뭐 조지 오웰의 1984가 떠오르는 그런 사회죠. 뭐 가택 수색, 그다음에 휴대폰 검열하고 아까 이제 많은 분들 언급해 주셨지만은 심지어는 K 드라마 같은 외국의 문물을 보고 남들에게 전파하고 하는 것만으로 사형까지 가능한 그런 강한 제재를 지금 뭐 채택하고 있습니다. 계속해서. 그런데 이렇게 이제 북한 정권이 과민 반응을 하는 것을 보면 이 정보 접근권이라고 하는 것이 얼마나 북한 사회의 변화에 중요하고 또 지금의 정권을 위협하는가를 오히려 반대로 보여준다라고 생각이 듭니다. 실제로 대한민국 통일부에서 조사를 해보니까 2016년에서 2020년 사이에 탈북한 북한 이탈 주민의 83.3%가 북한에서 외국 영상물을 본 적이 있다라고 합니다. 이게 예전에는 뭐 CD 이렇게 DVD 이런 걸로 하다가 요새는 뭐 USB 이런 거 등을 통해서 다양한 매체를 통해서 한국 이제 뭐 드라마나 영화나 이런 것들을 많이 보고 있죠. 이제 그러다 보니까 북한 정권에서 더 정보 통제의 필요성을 많이 느껴가지고 저희 또 통일부에서 북한 이탈 주민 대상으로 조사를 해보니까 절반 이상이 거주지에서 감시를 받고 있고 4명 중에 1명이 가택 수색을 받았다라고 할 정도로 굉장히 심각한 통제와 감시를 받고 있다라고 하고요. 또 청년들 대상으로는 요새 휴대전화와 스마트폰 검열도 계속해서 이루어지고 있다고 합니다. 도감청은 뭐 물론이고 미승인 어플리케이션을 차단하고 또 사용 이력을 감시하고 심지어 내장 메모리에다가 열람 이력 프로그램 설치를 강제하는 등으로 이제 스마트폰과 휴대폰 보급에 따른 감시를 강제하는데 또 재미있는 게 이런 검열을 피하기 위해 가지고 휴대전화 업데이트를 일부러 이제 설치를 안 한답니다. 그렇게 해서 최신의 감시를 피해 가려고 하는 또 북한 젊은이들의 시도도 보고가 되고 있고 어떤 쫓고 쫓기는 그런 자유와 검열의 대결이 펼쳐지고 있는 것 같습니다. 아까 말씀해 주셨지만 반동사상문화배격법, 뭐 청년교양보장법, 평양문화어보호법을 차례로 계속 강화하는 법들을 만들어서 외부 정보의 향유, 소지, 유통 등에 대해서 최대 사형까지 가능하도록 하고 있고 최근에는 미성년자에게도 이례적으로 노동교화형을 하는 등 아주 과민 반응하고 있다라고 합니다. 이런 배경에는 김정은 본인이 해외 유학 경험이 있어서 이 문화의 파급력이라는 것을 이해하고 있기 때문이 아니냐라는 분석들도 나오고 있습니다. 그러다 보니까 이제 유엔에서도 2023년에 78차 총회에서 회원국 전원 동의로 북한 인권 결의를 채택하면서 반동 사상 문화 배격법 같은 이런 사상 양심 종교의 자유, 표현 결사의 자유를 침해하는 법을 재검토해라라고 했고 24년 올해죠. 55차 유엔 인권위원회에서도 북한 인권 결의를 채택을 했는데 규탄 수위를 더욱 높여가지고 반동 사상 문화 배격법, 청년 교양 보장법, 평양 문화 보호법을 폐지 또는 개정하고 온라인과 오프라인에서 사상, 양심, 종교, 신앙의 자유와 표현 결사의 자유를 확보해라라고 주문을 또 강력하게 주문을 하는 내용을 펴내고 있습니다. 그래서 이제 결론적으로 말씀드리자면 이게 한 교수님이 이런 얘기를 했더라고요. 초코파이 한 개가 수류탄 하나보다 더 힘센 무기다. 실제 우리가 개성공단 사업을 진행할 때 그런 얘기들 했었는데 결국 이 문화의 힘 또 어떤 그런 정말 전파력의 힘이라는 것이 굉장히 강력하기 때문에 이런 부분에 대해서 우리가 전체적으로 관심을 더 가져야 되고 또 한 가지 좀 재밌는 사실을 좀 제가 보다 보니까 최근에 이제 탈북민이 포함된 아이돌 그룹이 곧 데뷔를 한다고 합니다. 그리고 심지어 그 탈북민이 꽃제비 출신의 굉장히 어려운 환경에서 있다가 탈북을 해서 곧 아이돌 그룹 데뷔를 한다라고 하는데 이런 것들이 북한에 잘 전파된다면은 북한 주민들 같은 경우에 또 K-팝 스타를 동경하는 북한 주민들이 또 다시 생겨나지 않을까. 그래서 이런 북한 정말 탈북민들 사이에서 세계적인 스타가 탄생하는 날도 기대해 봅니다. 그래서 제가 아까도 말씀드렸지만 2기 미국의 트럼프 정부가 들어왔을 때 물론 당장은 북한 문제가 최우선 과제는 아닐지 모르겠지만 계속해서 김정은과 나름의 어떤 탑다운식의談判 같은 것들을 시도할 겁니다. 그럴 때 이 결국 북한 정권에서 굉장히 좀 껄끄러워하고 까다로워하는 이 정보 접근성 문제를 좀 적극적으로 테이블에 올릴 수 있도록 저희가 지속적으로 미국 측과도 좀 소통하는 것이 필요하다라고 생각되고 오늘 이 자리에 계신 많은 정말 우리 다 공감하듯이 정말 여러 세계의 우리 또 국가들이 그런 북한 주민들의 정보 접근권 개선을 위해서도 다 함께 지속적으로 논의하고 계속해서 압력을 가해 가야겠다라고 생각이 듭니다. 여기까지 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chun Hanams. Time is very limited. Maybe we would only offer for 2 questions from the participants. We now offer maybe the most only 2. Please, if anyone want to inquiry to someone, we have very short times, maybe 2 participants. Anyone want to discuss something and delivers idea or experience or something, please? No one? Okay, if no one want to explain about some things, I will try to quickly summarize the idea from to presentation and to discussion. For this first and second presentation, I think we get very interesting idea. Firstly, that economic exchange and economic development very substantial for solution and human rights problems in North Korea, and this is also very important strategies. And then the other strategy, how to promote agriculture, especially in solving the food security, as mentioned in livestock sector, agriculture sector, also local industry. This is very crucial in the future for solving the problem of North Korean people, especially in the coping with food crisis and food security problems. And then the privatization and then self-development of Korean people also very important in the future to be promoted. And then this is also to some extent could solve the problem of human rights in North Korea. And then empowering North Korean people also very strategic issue in the future should be promoted. And then the strategy is how to transfer the knowledge to North Korean people, and finally they can have the capability for improving the life of North Korean people. And then the development of market also very important to reduce the dependency on governments. And then international community and international agencies should pay strong attention how to use the international convention to solve the problem of North Korean people. And then the last, I think very interesting idea, that internet penetrations to some extent maybe could change the North Korean people life. And then empowerment strategy, free access on information also will improve the human capability, and finally will improve the life of Korean people. And then also the last, about the cultural power. Cultural power is very important how to be the strong strategy in empower of North Korean people in the future. I think that's all I try to summarize, and hopefully this is be the main issue on our second discussion. Thank you very much. I'm very sorry for maybe some mistake during the lead of this second presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Subejo. Thank you. And to all our distinguished speakers also in session 2, thank you once again. Terima kasih. We appreciate the time and thought each of you has shared to deepen our understanding and to drive our mission forward. Your insights are invaluable to us. And now we have reached the closing ceremony. But before we conclude, we have a very special ceremony to honor a remarkable individual whose dedication and commitment to human rights have left an indelible mark on this organization and the global community. At this time, we would like to invite Mr. Masaharu Nakagawa and Mr. Kim Gi-hyun to the stage. Mr. Masaharu Nakagawa and Mr. Kim Gi-hyun to the stage. Today we are here to recognize Mr. Nakagawa's 2 decades of unwavering dedication to human rights and his tireless advocacy for North Korean refugees as the co-founder of IPCNKR. To commemorate his invaluable contributions, we would like to present this plaque. We deepest gratitude for your service and commitment to justice. And Mr. Nakagawa, thank you once again for your dedication, leadership, and service. Your work was inspire all of us. Thank you so much.
Of North Korea and South Korea. I really hope. Thank you very much.
Please give Mr. Nakagawa another warm round of applause as he makes his way back to his seat. Thank you very much. And now we come to the adoption of the joint statement. This statement addresses our shared commitments and core goals for supporting human rights in North Korea. For further details, please refer to the distributed document on your table and where you can review the statement in full version. Thank you for your attention. And this concludes our official program. We would like to invite everyone to join us for a luncheon to celebrate this meaningful gathering. This is Erin Jo thanking each of you for being part of this momentous event. Your presence and contributions have made today meaningful. Let's continue to work together for human rights and justice. Thank you and enjoy the luncheon. And for more information, please don't forget to leave the receiver and headset on your seat when you leave. And please be sure to collect your souvenir before you leave. Thank you very much.